We'll get to Lucas's comments here, but first, before we get into that, which is a good topic, we have to talk about Jim. The Sportsnet announced its regional broadcaster and its play-by-play group. And according to Jonah YYC Sports Media, Jim Hughson is reportedly not calling games this year. Patrick Johnson reached out to Rogers, and they say they have no news at this time. I tweeted out a tweet that said basically that Jim Hughson is a Hall of Famer and one of the best play-by-play callers of all time. And if you don't think that, you're wrong. And if you're celebrating the fact that Jim Hughson isn't coming back, you need to grow up. Which inspired Leaf fans to tweet back at me their knowledge of the great Jim Hughson, including one that suggested that they bring in Joe Bowen, which I don't like his style, but anyway, I think I'll just start from my perspective and then we'll get everyone else here in. He's one of the best. I think that Leaf fans have been very unfair to him over the years. I actually think that at times Jim Hughson has overcompensated to try not to be biased, to actually be over Leaf supportive in some ways, to the detriment of his call. And I think he's done fine. I think he's been fine. I don't think that there's been any real issues with him. I think that Leaf fans want that. There's some Leaf fans, not Devin. I'm not saying you, Devin, but there's a lot of Leaf fans that want that homer cheer. And I don't think that Jim Hughson necessarily has ever been that way with a lot of teams. And that's just not the way that he's going to call it. At the same time, the other side of this conversation is what Sportsnet's talent bank has behind him. So I don't really want to speculate as to why. I don't think that that's important at this point. But you've got John Shorthill here. You've got Rick Ball. You've got, I think, one of the more underrated play-by-play combinations in hockey, and John Bartlett and Gary Galley. And you also have Hunter Ryan Singh on your team. That at this point, if you're Jim Hughson and if you're Rogers, you've got to either, from Houston's perspective, maybe you're like, you got to give them some time. But if you're Sportsnet, you also have to see where they fit other than regional spots, because they do deserve national airtime. So my point is I'm sad for Jim Hughson that it's not going to be, but I'm very excited about the future of the play-by-play combinations that are coming up. But maybe we'll deal with Devin, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the Houston part first.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not with those Leaf supporters on who were combating you with that take there, Kev. He is a Hall of Famer. He is one of the best that's ever called the game in my mind, and that's no bias whatsoever. He is very talented, and it's kind of sad to hear that he's not going to be back for on Sportsnet allegedly. So we'll see how that really breaks down, and it's really too bad that as far as the Joe Bowen take, I'm with you, Kev. I do not like his style too much. Yes, he calls the Leafs games, but it's just you want a biased person. There you go. That's a biased play-by-play announcer right there, and I would not like to see him playing or calling broadcast games. The only reason why he's saying that particular guy is saying that is because that's all he knows. And change. Oh man, you talk about change to people, and it's going against what they want. They'll fight back hard. But there's one person you did not mention within the broadcast that deserves more credit, and talk about being biased is Rick Ball. I think that he is.
I did mention him.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I forgot to mention Jack Michaels. He's also on that list as well, and I know they're very high on him too. But they are high on him.
Yeah. Well, Rick Ball, I think he is not a biased commentator. In my mind, I think that he's very fair with the way that he calls games, and I think he deserves more of a bump up within the Sportsnet ranks than he is right now, and maybe that's just the way that he wants it to stay in Calgary because he really enjoys it here. But as far as a professional view, I think that he deserves more recognition for sure.
Yeah, Dev, you're right. In terms of baller, he does deserve it.
Go ahead, Chris.
Go, Chris.
Okay. I was going to, agree on the Rick Ball thing and just generally say that, I agree with everyone that it's sad that Jim's not coming back this season. I think it's bullshit that the pushback that Kev got, the guy that specifically said that he wanted the Homer guy to be do the Toronto broadcast, he also basically used Boston as his inspiration. And I think you should not use that situation as inspiration for what you want for play-by-play. Like that is, I have nothing more to add in that regard. But it's just sad that I'm not sure what's going on with Jim, but he's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best that's ever called it. And I know that I'm partially biased because he originated out of Vancouver, but just like bias aside, I don't think you can deny his talent for calling the game.
Well, as Tyler pointed out, he called Jays games for years. For years, he was part of the Toronto Blue Jays broadcast. People forget that too, and nobody complained. Well, we didn't have Twitter back then, but nobody complained about the bias back then.
Because he actually put effort into complaining back then.
Jim will be missed, and I hope he gets at least a send off of some sort, like we got with Bob Cole. He got his send off. Jim deserves it as well.
Yeah. By the way, go ahead, Sean.
I was just saying, and then with the you want your home. That's what regional broadcasts are for. And while I understand that, like, we complain about Toronto having too many national broadcasts. Well, guess what? It looks like they're complaining that they're getting too many national broadcasts too. So maybe they need to listen to that and start showing more other Canadian teams other than just Toronto as much as they do.
I got more. I got the comments from people, but I think more people were supporting my position than trolling me anyway. So I wasn't.
Well, in that event, I only saw the ones that seemed to be attacking you.
Well, that was the comments, but there were a lot of people retweeting and liking it.
So, okay, good.
Yeah.